Good morning. Welcome to the crackpot breakfast. Today for breakfast, we're eating cream corn on toast. So you take 3 pieces of toast, you butter them, put them on a plate, and then you cook a can of cream corn. That's it. Pretty good if you like corn. Usually on the crackpot breakfast, I review movies I've seen or TV shows I've watched. But I had a couple weird dreams yesterday, so I figured I would just tell you those. Dream I had last night before I woke up and showered and made myself all pretty for you. I got a phone call from a community playhouse in the next town, and they said, "Oh, we've seen you ranting on YouTube and think you'd be perfect for our next stage play, which is going to be an adaptation of Devil's Advocate, Taylor Hackford film of the late 90s. They're going to do a theater version of it. I love that movie. Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves. It did not get good reviews. Most people do not love that movie. But I love that movie. There's some really good monologues in it. So I said, "Well, what part are you considering me for?" And they said, the Craig T. Nelson character. In the second act of the movie, Craig T. Nelson plays this shady real estate billionaire, kind of like a Donald Trump. Who kills his wife. But there's a prenup that says if he fools around, he doesn't get any money. So it's not a big part, but it's a good part. There's a lot of yelling conversations. So I said, yeah, sure, I'd love to. So because I'm being considered, I still audition against other people, right? And they said, yeah, we have 2 other guys that are going to be reading it, but it's pretty much your part if you want it. So I said, well, when are the auditions? He said, well, they're next week. So I contact work and I get those days off. And the playhouse in the next town it's enormous. It's such a high ceiling. Most community playhouses are no bigger than a school gymnasium, or half a school gymnasium, really. And this thing is huge. It's almost like a proper opera house. So I get there, and there's this long table with all these chairs facing out towards the audience. And everybody's script has a name written in red ink on each one. So I find mine. Ryan Lowrie. And I was like, okay. And then we didn't really do anything. People just sort of trickled in for a bit. I was like, are we going to read anything? And the producer was like, you can go read your script if you want. So I did. I went and sat on stage. Flipped through my script. And then the director jumps up on stage and he has his back to me and he tells the people, okay, we're going to break for lunch. Now we're going to do an early lunch. When we come back, we'll do a read-through. I figured, okay. So I went out. Down the street there was a Subway, so I went and got a sub. And when I came back, they removed the table from the stage and the chairs. And the place had like 30 more people than it did before I left. And people were on stage doing this these horrible versions of old Saturday Night Live bits. Like, they were fucking up the punchline. They weren't doing the setup right, and then every once in a while they just yell live from New York, it's Saturday night. It was awful. And there was this Louis C.K. looking guy. Louis C.K.'s a comedian, chubby, bald, with a beard. Sound familiar? And so I slunked up to him and I was like, what the hell is this? And he's like, all the director does is, and I'm like, I thought he said we were going to break for lunch. He's like, yeah, nobody goes to lunch. Why didn't somebody tell me that? I'm like, how long are they going to do this? He's like, do what? I'm like, do old Saturday Night Live bits wrong. He goes, oh, they'll kill the first 2 days just doing this. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This isn't theater. So the director goes, Ryan, you go on stage, you do a bit. So I went up and I did the drill sergeant bit from Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. Michael Palin's this drill instructor, and he's screaming at the soldiers in his platoon that, oh, they don't want to be trained for the army. They don't want to go marching up and down the square. Rather be at the picture show. Really funny bit. But of course nobody got it. Nobody understood it. They were like, okay. Whatever that was. Just sucked. And then a few more people did some Saturday Night Live bits. But again, they didn't even get the punchline right. So the producer came up to me and he said, Ryan, do you want to try to do another bit? I said, nah, I think I'll just go to lunch. So I walked out the side door and it was very bright, and that's when I woke up. The other dream was I had yesterday afternoon. My wife was out running around doing stuff for her business, so I fell asleep on the couch. So in the dreamscape, in the dreamland, I wake up. I'm laying across a chopped down tree. It's right beside a pond, and the pond is bubbling. It makes these weird creaky noises. And I feel a dark, warm presence sit down beside me, and bony fingers start running themselves through my thinning hair. And his voice says, are you hurt? And I said, well, I hurt less today than I did yesterday. And then the dark presence says, oh, you sapiens, you feel so much. Tells me hurting is natural. I said, you're not human? And the voice said, I am death. To which I asked in a scared voice, am I supposed to run from you? And the voice said, you humans have it all backwards. You don't have to die. It's a tremendous opportunity. So I said, what happens to me after I die? And the dark, warm presence said, how the hell should I know? I'm deaf. I just keep going. And then I woke up. So that happened.